Hello, and welcome to Therapy by the Book, the show where we take your favorite fictional characters and ask what would it be like if they came to therapy. My name is William Haddad, and today our referral arrives by way of Middle-earth, Master Samwise Gamgee, Sam for short. Gardener of Bag End, companion of ring bearers, and, in my humble opinion, one of the stoutest hearts among a company of heroes. I absolutely cherish these books and the Peter Jackson films in more or less equal measure, so we'll be drawing from both for this episode. Sam Gamgee's role in The Lord of the Rings, while similar to Frodo's, nevertheless tells its own tale of how ordinary can bloom into extraordinary in the face of peril. In the opening chapters, Sam is little more than a gardener with stars in his eyes. As a youngster, while his father Hamfast Gamgee, or the Gaffer, kept garden for the wealthy but eccentric Bilbo Baggins, Sam lingers by the gate, soaking up tales of elves and far horizons from Mr. Bilbo's wanderings. Bilbo does more than indulge curiosity. He teaches Sam his letters, planting a rare seed not every working-class hobbit receives. The greatest change this education imparts to young Sam is a joyful fascination with elves, and a not-so-secret longing to meet them someday. In the Shire's quiet caste system, a cultural feature more noticeable in the books than the films, the Gamgees are resolute working folk, while families like the Bagginses sit near the top of the social hill. One quick aside, while the novels press this distinction, the Jackson films soften it, framing Sam and Frodo's eventual relationship more as best friends than servant and master, as well as placing them closer in age. In the book, Sam is still quite young at the time of the quest for the ring, while Frodo is well over 50. The strain between deference and deep affection that we can observe in Sam will surface later on in therapy when we talk about his loyalty and self-worth. Why this background matters in therapy is that knowing Sam's beginnings lets us understand the shape of his resilience. Literacy opens his heart and mind to concepts beyond the comfortable borders of the Shire, and social deference trains him to place others first, yet at the same time, Bilbo's mentorship tells him he may be worthy of greater dealings too. Perhaps most importantly, Sam's love of gardening, with all its rhythms and renewals, forms a rudimentary coping template, capable of being carried into even the desolate wastes of Mordor. When Bilbo departs for Rivendell and the Gaffer retires, Sam inherits the gardens of Bag End, and with them a proximity to Bilbo's nephew Frodo Baggins that will change history. Life might have remained a pleasant bag of taters and pipe smoke until Gandalf the Wizard returns bearing dark tidings about Bilbo's magic ring. In both book and film, Sam's first step into the larger world is through eavesdropping, and his curiosity beneath Frodo's open window sparks everything that follows. As Gandalf reveals to Frodo the terrible truth about Bilbo's ring, Sam likewise learns the following. The ring is no mere trinket, but the One Ring, the ruling ring made by the Dark Lord Sauron in the cracks of doom at Orodruin, the Fire Mountain. Before Sam can eavesdrop further, however, he's caught under the open window and uprooted by Gandalf like one of his own potato plants. Yet, thankfully, he is sentenced not to punishment, but to pilgrimage, alongside Frodo, who must now leave the Shire for his and its safety. It is also worth noting that, in Sam's defense, while he realized what was being spoken about was private, it was the mention of elves and their lore, rather than talk of the ring, that led him to keep listening. Thus, Sam's journey from fumbling gardener to guiding guardian begins. At the start, Sam is a hobbit who oversleeps and often forgets. Pippin describes him at one point to Frodo as an excellent fellow who would jump down a dragon's throat to save you if he did not trip over his own feet. Yet, every test toughens this character, and some of these foibles of Sam actually foreshadow his growth. Early on, Sam misses breakfast, omits the Gaffer's warning about the Black Riders, and later curses himself for forgetting to pack a rope. But while these lapses show a mind still rooted in turnip rows as opposed to quests, they also plant our first therapeutic thread. In short, Sam's go-to self-critique masks an underlying fear of letting people down. A major milestone is reached in the final chapter of the first volume, The Breaking of the Fellowship, when the company of the ring splits and Frodo heads away on the great river Anduin, intending to complete the quest to destroy the One Ring on his own. Sam, who incidentally hates boats and cannot swim, wades in after him anyway, nearly drowning before Frodo hauls him aboard. This courageous act of loyalty cements the unshakable truth that Sam goes where Frodo does, no matter what. Don't you leave him. Those are the words Sam is told by Gandalf in the films and by Gildor, the High Elf, in the books. From a psychological angle, Sam's attachment to Frodo arms him with the will to override any phobia. This new vigilance is further honed with Gollum. On the long trek to Mordor with the creature Gollum, aka Smeagol, as their guide, Sam must contend with two personalities at war with each other. Dubbing them Slinker and Stinker, as he does, isn't mere hobbit sass, but Sam's, quote, slow but shrewd mind at work, keeping external tabs on danger so Frodo can concentrate on moving forward. The change clearly demonstrates how Sam's gardener observation has now evolved into sentinel awareness. Sam's cultural horizons are broadened when he and Frodo are waylaid on the road by the ranger captain of Gondor, Faramir. Sam initially slips up when he accidentally makes mention of the ring, but quickly redeems himself by speaking very bluntly in defense of Frodo and their need for discretion despite Faramir's power and authority. Through this encounter, Sam gains new perspective about men, especially with regard to Faramir, and despite knowing about the ring, Faramir lets them both go. Now comes the tunnel that turns fear into decisive ferocity. In the den of the monstrous demon spider Shelob, Sam proves himself the most courageous of all hobbits. After Frodo is wounded and rendered unconscious, Sam takes up Frodo's sword sting and drives the creature back. At the end of a bitter struggle, he pricks her hard in her soft underbelly, wounding her worse than anything ever has and forcing her to retreat. Shortly after, in the Tower of Cirithungul, Sam proves his inner strength in addition to his outer. Believing Frodo dead, Sam now becomes the ring-bearer, taking it upon himself to try to complete the quest. After learning Frodo yet lives, Sam single-handedly braves the orcs in the tower to rescue him. And upon doing so, he is then able to willingly hand the ring back to Frodo, something quite possibly no other soul in Middle-earth might have been able to do. Near the end, on the ashen plains of Gorgoroth, Sam discards his beloved cooking gear, and eventually carries Frodo for the final distance towards the slopes of Mount Doom. This compassion and sacrifice elevates Sam to new levels of leadership, and signals his own psychological shift from follower to caregiver in command. Summed up best by his own words, "I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you." With the passing of the Shadow, Sam returns to Hobbiton and displays a new domestic heroism in the chapter The Scouring of the Shire. All is forever changed. Home is not the same. It's despoiled by Saruman's henchmen. Many old friends are gone, and even Frodo cannot remain long in this world. Faced with the task of restoration, Sam's courage now turns civic, helping to rally his fellow hobbits, tearing down ruffian structures, and, after the battle, healing the land itself using the Lady Galadriel's soil and Malorn seed. The Shire's renewal takes on many forms, but also brings loss amidst the joy. Frodo's departure at the Grey Havens cuts very deep. Yet Sam nevertheless heeds his friend's parting counsel that there is still so much for him to live for, and that he deserves to be able to. Marriage to Rosie, children, and even election as mayor of Hobbiton for 7 consecutive terms all await him when he gets back. Sam's post-traumatic growth flourishes alongside his grief for many, many years, until eventually he returns at last to the Grey Havens alone, the last of the ring-bearers to depart Middle-earth. Coming now to diagnosis for Sam, I'd assign other specified trauma and stressor-related disorder. Sam endures battle slaughter, Shelob's lair, Mordor's ash, and the psychic pull of the ring, plenty of raw material for straight PTSD. Yet that full cluster never blooms. He does show hypervigilance in certain areas, such as when keeping night-long watch on Smeagol or Gollum and noticing just about every twitch that he makes, and always looking out for Frodo's best interests and well-beings when Frodo himself is so drained by the weight of carrying the ring. And there's also anticipatory tension, mild startling when the Black Riders are near or whenever he sees Frodo faltering. But still, he always maintains an intact ability to sleep, at least for the most part, and his mood and sense of purpose never waver on the whole. Even once danger passes, he doesn't suffer from intrusive flashbacks or dissociation or any of the more severe PTSD symptoms that we've talked about on the show. In modern terms, Sam sits below the threshold, but still close enough that we might apply this lighter diagnostic category. Protective factors like his secure attachment to Frodo and a very strong inner narrative and meaning-rich gardening metaphors as part of his mentality all contribute to preserving his resilience through Journey's End. On a secondary note, I would add that Sam also shows mild ADD symptoms. ADD as in attention deficit disorder, mind you, not ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. A few of these symptoms include early forgetfulness, such as I mentioned before, when he forgets to relay the gaffer's warning or forgets to pack a rope despite reminding himself to do so several times, and occasional task drift when fascinating topics like the elves can hijack his focus. But on the other hand, it can be argued that these same symptoms taper off under high stakes. By the time of dealing with Gollum, for instance, Sam's executive functioning is sharpened considerably, suggesting context rather than personality may be ultimately responsible. In the common tongue, Samwise carries scars, but they braid rather than break his functioning. He's alert when he needs to be, and rarely trapped in yesterday's horrors. Thus, we come to it at last. What is Sam carrying to the clinical couch? Our sessions open beside the newly planted Malorn sapling. The smell of tilled earth grounds Sam faster than any sofa. Walking as we talk invites, too, the same rhythm that once carried him to Mordor, step by step. When memories snag, he kneels, perhaps to press a new seedling into the soil and feel life answer back. Because Sam's tale entwines with so many others, great and small, our first therapeutic task is to thin that narrative canopy so that sunlight can shine through. Bilbo once wrote, "There and back again." Now for Sam, I ask, which parts of this new tale matter most to you? Is there anything the Red Book skips over that you would prefer to be remembered, or delicately omitted? By naming the seeds he alone tends, Sam begins to discover his own authorship, rather than remain a footnote. We explore the shift from deferential Mr. Frodo Sam to the Shire steward, 7-term mayor, and father of 13. I observe he often answers me in gardening metaphors. "A body must leave room between rows or nothing thrives," he remarks. "That suggests a mantra for self-care amid civic duty," I reply. "How do you feel about carrying everyone else's hope in your pack while still finding space for your own?" War's traces linger on in the soil. Although PTSD symptoms are light, a certain hypervigilance yet remains in the form of night watches, sometimes half expecting to hear Gollum's hiss out of the gloom. And every autumn he is reminded of Frodo's shoulder wound, though Frodo himself has long since passed over the sea. We use guided exposure woven with sensory grounding, the feel of cool earth to replace the clammy stones of Cirithungol when painful memories such as these stir. The secure attachment template Sam has already built for himself over his long journey lets us explore most of the memories without being too overwhelmed. Narrative legacy follows. Together we draft letter seeds for each of his children, a short story inspired by his journey along with a lesson he wishes to impart in their own lives, be it one of loyalty, courage, or pity. This both honors the fallen and cultivates wisdom in the Gamgee family as a whole. I encourage him to begin monthly elf meanders, solitary walks at twilight, where Sam deliberately looks for that shimmer on the leaves, echoing the first time he ever saw the fair folk. However settled his new life, there may well always be a part of his inner child that thrills at mystery. We'll know our therapy is really blooming when he delegates mayoral tasks without guilt, and his self-rebuke shifts to gentle humor. And as his vigilance relaxes, arising only for real threats and not the painful memories of one's long past. Sam concludes our treatment with dirt under his nails and daily rituals that continually renew. Small deeds, big resonance. That's how a mindful gardener keeps the shadows at bay. With enough seasons of reflection, he will likely prove right as rain. Scars may still tighten in bad weather, but roots are deep, and the Malorn shall yet cast gold into the Shire's spring light. Well, that's a wrap for today's session. Thank you all for listening. Keep your own roots strong, and may a star shine upon the hour of your next meeting. Farewell.